to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching ASEAN in Focus on today's program. News coming in from the northern Philippines, where the death toll from Typhoon Doksuri has risen. According to official figures released on Thursday, the storm is now heading towards southeastern China, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. During his visit to Tonga, Antony Blinken, the U.S. Secretary of State, reaffirmed his commitment to bolstering support for Pacific nations. However, Blinken issued a pointed caution regarding aid from Beijing. He emphasized that such assistance frequently comes with various conditions and obligations. Later this year, the Philippines and Malaysia will convene a joint commission meeting to finalize several essential agreements encompassing cooperation on various fronts. The significant announcement was made during a joint press briefing held by President Marcos and Malaysian Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made a significant announcement today suggesting that New Zealand and other countries may become part of the AUKUS Defense Pact. And now to the news. First, here in the country from the northern Philippines, where the death toll from Typhoon Doksuri has risen. According to figures released today, the storm is now heading towards southeastern China, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Typhoon Doksuri unleashed its fury on the main island of Luzon, with powerful winds toppling trees, causing power outages, and forcing thousands of people to evacuate from coastal communities. The Babuyan Islands and northern provinces were hit hard, facing heavy rain and strong winds that triggered devastating flooding and landslides. Tragically, a mother and her 3 children lost their lives when a landslide struck their home in the mountainous province of Benguet's Bugias municipality. Local disaster official Satur Payagdo confirmed the heartbreaking incident. 5 others who were inside the house were fortunately rescued, but the death toll climbed to 6 with other fatalities reported. A woman in Isabela province was killed by a falling coconut tree, and a 16-year-old boy lost his life due to a landslide in Baguio City. President Marcos took to Twitter to announce that the government has allocated over 173 million pesos in standby funds to aid the typhoon victims. Additionally, there are provisions of food and non-food items available to support those impacted by the disaster. Doksuri, or Egay, had been classified as a super typhoon during its Pacific Ocean journey on Tuesday, but weakened as it approached the Philippines. As the storm moves across the South China Sea, it's expected to further weaken before making landfall in southeastern China on Friday, while Taiwan is expected to be spared from a direct hit. Heavy rains associated with Doksuri resulted in a tragic drowning incident. A 57-year-old woman and 2 others were trapped when a mountain river overflowed, leading to the woman's untimely death, as reported by the island's Emergency Operations Center. The rains also caused power outages in around 43,000 households in Taiwan, but authorities have managed to restore most of the electricity. During his visit to Nuku'alofa in Tonga on Wednesday, Antony Blinken, the U.S. Secretary of State, reaffirmed his commitment to bolstering support for Pacific nations. As part of this dedication, he inaugurated a new embassy in Tonga, becoming the first U.S. Secretary of State to officially visit the island nation. However, Mr. Blinken issued a pointed caution regarding aid from Beijing, emphasizing that such assistance frequently comes with various conditions and obligations.
We're a Pacific nation. It's something that President Biden feels very strong. It's been very consistent in his own approach even before he was president. And we very much see the future in the Indo-Pacific region writ large. We have no objection to the investments by or engagements by any other country, including China. On the contrary, if it's done in a productive way. And again, I think one of the things that we've seen is that as China's engagement in the region has grown, there has been some, from our perspective, increasingly problematic behavior, including at the same time the assertion of unlawful maritime claims, something that I've raised extensively when I was in China, the militarization of disputed features, for example, in the South China Seas, some predatory economic activities, and also investments that are done in a way that can actually undermine good governance and promote corruption. So it's not the fact of, it's the nature of that we think is important to focus on. But
Blinken's current journey marks his third visit to the Asia-Pacific region in the past 2 months, having recently toured China and engaged in discussions with Southeast Asian officials in Indonesia only last week. Now, this visit follows closely on the heels of an announcement from the State Department to Congress, revealing ambitious plans for a substantial expansion in diplomatic personnel and increased spending to enhance facilities at newly established U.S. embassies in the Pacific Islands.
We're building up our diplomatic capacity in the region. In May, we took a major step in that direction by opening our embassy here in Nuku'alofa, which the Prime Minister and I will formally dedicate today. We also set up our embassy in the Solomon Islands. We're working to establish posts in Vanuatu and in Kiribati.
The update provided to Congress, as reported by the Associated Press news agency, highlights that China has already established permanent diplomatic facilities in 8 out of the 12 Pacific Island nations recognized by the U.S. In response, Washington seeks to bridge this gap and elevate its presence in the region. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made a significant announcement today suggesting that New Zealand and other countries may become part of the AUKUS Defense Pact. The AUKUS alliance, comprising Australia, the United Kingdom, and the U.S., has been a hot topic recently, especially since it deals with sensitive nuclear-powered submarines. New Zealand Prime Minister Chris Hipkins expressed the country's willingness to hold discussions about potential involvement in AUKUS as long as it doesn't include nuclear-powered submarines, consistent with New Zealand's long-standing nuclear-free policy.
On AUKUS, as we continue to develop it, as we continue to work, particularly now on the second pillar, the door is very much open for New Zealand and other partners to engage as they see appropriate going forward. New Zealand is a deeply trusted partner.
New Zealand officials appear to be focusing on collaborating in areas such as cyber defense, artificial intelligence, and hypersonic weapons. All fall under AUKUS's second pillar. It's essential to note that both New Zealand and Australia have been prominent allies of the U.S. in the South Pacific region. However, recent accusations have surfaced suggesting New Zealand prioritizes its trading relationship with China over its friendships with fellow Five Eyes members, including the U.S., Britain, Canada, and Australia. China has expressed strong opposition to the AUKUS Pact, viewing it as a destabilizing factor in the region. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen, one of the world's longest-serving leaders, announced his decision to step down from office, marking the end of nearly 4 decades of hardline rule. After assuming power in 1985, the former Khmer Rouge cadre has effectively silenced all opposition, quashing rival parties, compelling challengers to flee the country, and suppressing freedom of expression. Throughout his reign, the Cambodian People's Party, or CPP, led by Hun Sen, has maintained an iron grip on political power. In the recent election held on Sunday, the CPP secured a resounding victory, capturing 82% of the vote in the absence of any meaningful opposition. This overwhelming triumph has paved the way for a dynastic succession as Hun Sen plans to hand power to his eldest son.
ច្បាស់ហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតនឹងចាប់ផ្ដើមធ្វើនាយករដ្ឋមន្ត្រីនៅល្ងាចថ្ងៃទី22ខែសីហាឆ្នាំ2023ខាងមុខហើយសូមការគាំទ្រពីសម្ដេចប្រជាពលរដ្ឋកម្ពុជាចំពោះ ហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតដែលជានាយករដ្ឋមន្ត្រីថ្មីជាមួយនឹងខ្ញុំប្រកាសណាខ្ញុំក្នុងឋានៈជាប្រធានបកហើយអនាគតនឹងក្លាយទៅជាប្រធានព្រឹទ្ធសភាដែលនឹងដើរតួនាទីជាប្រមុខរដ្ឋស្ដីទីនៅពេលអវត្តមានព្រះមហាក្សត្រ
Critics have drawn parallels between this dynastic move and the political landscape in North Korea. Sebastian Strangio, author of Hun Sen's Cambodia, told AFP the father will undoubtedly exercise a huge influence over the direction of his son's administration. The need to placate wealthy and powerful CPP members will also tie his hands, according to the analyst. During Hun Sen's leadership, Cambodia has closely aligned itself with Beijing, reaping the benefits of substantial Chinese investment and infrastructure ventures, such as the redevelopment of a naval base that has raised concerns in Washington. However, the influx of Chinese funds has brought along its share of issues, including the proliferation of casinos and online scam operations that exploit foreign workers, many of whom are trafficked and subjected to deplorable working conditions. These problems have contributed to Cambodia's low standing in Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index, where the country ranks 150th out of 180 nations. In Asia, only Myanmar and North Korea fare worse in this regard. Rights organizations have leveled accusations against Hun Sen, alleging that he manipulates the legal system to suppress any opposition to his rule. This includes targeting critical activists, troublesome union leaders, and political opponents, all of whom face the brunt of the government's crackdown on dissent. Later this year, the Philippines and Malaysia will convene a joint commission meeting to finalize several essential agreements encompassing cooperation on various fronts, including transnational crimes, the halal industry, Islamic banking, and more. The significant announcement was made during a joint press briefing held on Wednesday afternoon by President Marcos Jr. and Malaysian Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. This momentous event took place during President Marcos's visit to Malaysia, highlighting the strengthening ties between the two ASEAN neighbors.
This afternoon, the Prime Minister and I recalled his successful official visit to Manila last March. In the spirit of exploring synergies for future partnerships, we agreed to convene the next Philippine-Malaysia Joint Commission meeting in the near future. I believe the date that we decided upon was around sometime in October. We do this so that our government agencies will have an avenue to discuss priority cooperation in detail, most especially in the areas of transnational crimes, agriculture, halal industry, Islamic banking, education, tourism, and culture, sports, and the digital economy. We continue to work on the corresponding MOUs in these fields and will have them signed in the near future. Building on our bilateral relations, our governments commit to closely coordinate efforts to build capacity in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in southern Philippines, in Muslim Mindanao, especially on sectors such as the halal industry, Islamic banking, and food security.
Malaysian Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, during discussions with President Marcos, expressed their commitment to reinforce the 5-point consensus on the Association of Southeast Asian Nations concerning Myanmar.
We did touch upon Myanmar to strengthen the 5-point consensus of ASEAN, but also give some flexibility, room and space for neighboring countries to engage on an informal basis without sacrificing the issues of human rights and the treatment of minorities, and particularly the Rohingyas and other Burmese minorities in Myanmar. Finally, I think the issues that we relate upon is the issue of the Joint Commission that's going to meet towards the end of the year, and we have an outstanding MOUs which both of us have agreed to accelerate the process, and where we should find ways to resolve and then hopefully sign prior to the or during the commission meeting.
There's a glimmer of hope in the Philippine employment situation, as the latest data shows a decline in the unemployment rate. However, the National Economic and Development Authority is urging further efforts to enhance job quality and reduce poverty in the country. In a post-SONA briefing on Wednesday, Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan revealed that the unemployment rate has dropped to 4.3%, which is comparable to rates found in developed countries. Now, despite this improvement, Balisacan emphasized that simply achieving a low jobless rate is not enough.
But the quality of those jobs is another thing, and that's where most of my colleagues here are so much engrossed into. It's improving the the quality of jobs available, improving the employability of our workers, enhancing the human capital of our people, so that they can so that the labor market can work effectively, efficiently. Our workers are able to match the kind of jobs that are needed by emerging sectors like the internet, the AI, and the green economy, and so on.
Building factories, investing in infrastructure like roads and bridges, and fostering a business-friendly environment are key steps to attract more businesses to the Philippines and provide quality jobs to its citizens.
So that's the primary reason why we are so talking to the business community, to all investors, to get investment coming to the country. Because without investment, there is no way you can improve that quality of jobs. You need to get those to build factories. You need to build plants, equipment, roads, bridges, and so on, to be able to employ more people in areas where you can where our people can earn decent incomes. And we are in a hurry because, as we keep on saying, many of our neighbors have left us long ago. But now we have the opportunity. As we keep saying, the stars are aligned. And if we miss this time, I don't know where we are going.
And today, the World Health Organization has released the latest version of its essential medicines list, an essential medicines list for children, with significant additions to aid in global health care. Among the new inclusions are cancer medicines, an essential development to combat this deadly disease. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus expressed the significance of these updates.
Cancer medicines are among those that have been added to the latest version of the WHO Essential Medicines List and the Essential Medicines List for children, which have been published today. The new lists also include important new medicines for the treatment of multiple sclerosis, infectious diseases, and cardiovascular conditions, among others. The recommended changes bring the number of medicines on the Essential Medicines List to 502 and 361 for the Essential Medicines List for children. For over 40 years, countries all over the world have relied on the WHO Essential Medicines List as a definitive, evidence-based guide to the most important medicines for delivering the biggest health impact.
Dr. Benedict Huttner, Secretary of the Expert Committee on the Selection and Use of Essential Medicines at WHO, emphasized that cost should not be a reason to exclude a medicine if other criteria are met.
20 years ago, it was decided that the absolute cost of medicines should not be considered a reason to exclude a medicine if other criteria are fulfilled. And that was in the context of the HIV pandemic and the antiretroviral medicines, which in the meantime have become much more affordable. With the cancer medicines, we are facing now an issue where we have a very high burden of disease and very expensive, highly priced medicines. So this continues to be an issue, and indeed, for some of the medicines, this was one of the factors leading the expert committee not to recommend them currently.
Switching gears now, extreme heat continues to pose health threats across the Northern Hemisphere. Heat waves have resulted in devastating wildfires. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros expressed concern over the impact of extreme weather on vulnerable populations.
Extreme heat is continuing to threaten health across the Northern Hemisphere. High temperatures and other conditions have also sparked wildfires in Algeria, Greece, Italy, and Tunisia, with more than 40 people dead and thousands evacuated. According to a report published last month by the World Meteorological Organization, Europe is the world's fastest warming region. And a new study published this month estimates that more than 61,000 people died from heat-related causes in 35 European countries during last year's Northern Hemisphere summer, the hottest on record. The adverse health effects of hot weather are preventable through common sense precautions such as staying inside during the hottest time of the day if possible and staying hydrated. Governments can also help by having in place early warning and response systems, strategies for the general population and vulnerable groups, and effective communication plans. These heat waves and wildfires are another reminder of the urgent need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and protect the planet on which all life depends.
Finally, in our news, on Labor Day, members of the Church of Christ in Hong Kong organized a special event called Care for Humanity. The event was a huge success. Fast forward today, some of those who attended the event decided to join the Church of Christ. They were impressed by the Church's commitment to helping others and that they felt that the Church's teachings offered them a sense of hope and purpose. Kit Wong reports.
Thank you, Elma. Let us tell you a story about May 1st, Labor Day in Hong Kong. It's a public holiday, and a special day for overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, living in Hong Kong. Every year, they love celebrating this occasion by teaming up with local Filipino groups for fun picnics, cultural events, and all sorts of exciting activities. But there's a twist. Members of the Church of Christ, also known as Iglesia de Cristo, saw this public holiday as the perfect opportunity to organize a fantastic event called Care for Humanity. Their mission was to lend a helping hand to their fellow Filipinos and migrant workers, as well as the locals in Hong Kong. They prepared goodie bags filled with essential items and a special magazine called God's Message to share their faith with others. Now, fast forward to today, July 23. Some of the guests who attended the May 1st event were so deeply moved by the kindness and compassion they witnessed that they decided to become members of the Church of Christ themselves.
The Iglesia de Cristo, or Church of Christ, continuing with their Care for Humanity programs here in Hong Kong. Their members unceasingly reach out to help their fellow men, especially the Filipino overseas workers.
Ang Iglesia ni Cristo po ay nagsagawa ngayon dito po sa Bayanihan Center ng Linga Pamamahayag na kung saan ay napakarami pong bilang ng mga tao na nakapakinig ng mga aral ng Diyos na atin pong sinasampalatayanan. Ito po ay bilang pagsunod natin sa kalooban ng ating Panginoong Diyos na maipaalam sa tao ang katotohanan para sa kanilang ikaliligtas.
It's incredible to see how such acts of care and kindness have made an impact on people's lives.
Nagpapasalamat po kami sa INC, Iglesia ni Cristo, na sila po ang sponsor or isa sa mga bahagi ng aming medical mission na sumusuporta sa aming pagpapatupad ng medical mission sa araw na ito. Nagpapasalamat din po kami sa kanila na nagbibigay po sila ng ayuda para sa mga pasyente po at sa mga nagdalo ngayon araw na ito.
Maraming salamat.
Salamat sa binigay nyo na ayuda.
Salamat.
Thank you.
This just goes to show that even the smallest gestures of care and compassion can make a world of difference to people's lives.
Malaking tulong po sa ating mga kasamahan para ma-address po agad yung kung ano man po yung mga concerns nila regarding health. Especially po yung mga nasa treatment ngayon, hopefully po mabigyan ng kahit papaano yung advice, encouragement towards their challenges, towards their journey, para po mas magkaroon ng hope sa kanilang pinagdadaanan.
That's not all. Net 25's program Respondent was also present at the event, capturing all the heartwarming moments and spreading the goodness even further.
I'm one of the founding chairman of Guardians Brotherhood Tiger Band International, which is not only here in Hong Kong, but I have in some different countries. We make this medical mission in partnership of our brothers in INC and also Respondent from Net 25.
For the members of the Church of Christ here in Hong Kong, this humanitarian activity and sharing of their faith that was held today is part of their commemoration of the 109th anniversary of the Church on July 27.
Buong puso din po ako nagpapasalamat sa ating kapatid na Ka-Eduardo Manalo po sa lahat po ng ganitong ipinapahayag niya po na pagtutulong po sa ating kapwa. Maraming salamat po at sana po mabuhay po ang ating kapatid Eduardo Manalo.
From Kennedy Town, Hong Kong, this is Kit Wong reporting for Eagle News. Stay safe because we live in extraordinary times.
As my usual habit, I'd like to end the day on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. Happy anniversary to the Iglesia ni Cristo. Happy 109th anniversary, everyone. Thank you for watching. Stay in the news because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.